Welcome back to another quick episode of the Stitch Method. This was a question I actually got a lot of in the past month, and so I figured I'd address it really quickly. The idea of chromatics. Now, chromatics, very simply put, are just notes that are half step apart that climb through the full color spectrum of our music. For instance, a chromatic scale starting on the A, just to show you, is just every note in music starting on the A. It's A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, back to A. Alright, and so it's all 12 musical notes played next to each other. Chromatics, all notes that are half step apart. Here's an example of a chromatic line. That's it, okay? And here's another example. Okay, and so chromatics work in music in certain ways, and I'm here to discuss it with you and how to apply it to your blues, so you start to understand, the idea of how to start bringing in chromatics into your playing. A lot of people get confused by it because they think there's a very specific time to put a chromatic piece in music, but really it's about the feel of what you want. As you guys probably know, I love improvisation and jam band music, and all my favorite guitar players use chromatics, but they use it in certain moments. Now, this isn't the only way to use it, but it's a way that you can start to kind of develop the taste for it. And that's what's very important. When you're playing and you want to say something and you're like, oh, I feel a chromatic line coming on, that's what this lesson is about. So we're going to use the blues, which is one of the best palettes to study music on, and we're going to incorporate pentatonics into it. So let's just talk about this very quickly. We're going to play an A minor blues here, okay? We have an A minor pentatonic, A, C, D, E, G, and back to A. A, C, D, E, G, and back to A. Form 1, okay? All the way through. Just like that. And now, the best way to start incorporating pentatonics into your blues, there's two things to remember. Number one, in a pentatonic, we have notes that are separated by 3 frets, and we have notes that are separated by 2 frets. It's these 2 fret distances that we're going to concentrate on. This one, and that one, on the A, the D, and the G string. A chromatic line between these 2 notes would sound like this. And these 2, and these 2. And that's very, very important. I want to bring this up. You're actually going to be using the framework, the actual physical framework of a pentatonic to keep your chromatic lines in check. What's good about this is we know we're starting on a pentatonic note and we're ending on a pentatonic note. And rule number 1 of a pentatonic is that it always sounds good. So if we know we're starting in a place that sounds good and we're taking a step into a place that might be unfamiliar, we know that our last step is going to be back home onto something that sounds pretty good. So you want to take advantage right now of these little pieces. Now, these notes on the 6th fret here are not in our pentatonic. We can look at them and say, well, they're blue notes or they're mixodorant. Doesn't matter. This is about feeling what chromatics feel like or sound like. And so this little part right here is what you want to focus on. Now, that's part number 1. Number 2 is, when do you put them in? Well, you can put them in 2 places. Whenever you feel like it, or like I discuss in my Myth of the Mixolydian Blues video, which I'll link below, right before the 4 chord, or more specifically, right before a chord change. A 12-bar blues has a palette that we all know, and we all feel it, and when those chords start to approach the chord change, as a guitar player, you might want to emphasize that with some chromatic emphasis in there, and when the chords change, it takes that uncertainty of what we're hearing, and when the chords change and go, to the 4 chord back home, it's like, oh, it sounded good. So all I'm going to do is I have a very slow a Texas-style A minor backing track that I just recorded, which is a 6 count. And I'm just going to play some pentatonics first and show you what it sounds like, and then I'm going to put in some chromatic runs. And this is to develop your sense of confidence of when to do this stuff. So here we go. This is all just pentatonic right now. Alright, all pentatonics. Give me 1 second. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to incorporate some chromatics on the chord changes. There it was. Here comes another chord change coming up. There it was. There's another one. Okay, so let's just have a quick talk. All I did, and this is a simple lesson, but I want you to understand something. Chromatics aren't about like a mathematical process or when do we use them and like how do people use chromatics so well. Chromatics like to move. They like to create a little bit of tension. So when you want to kind of like emphasize a chord change, or you're going for a root note, you're in the blues and you're soloing, and you know you're going to get to this root note, kind of give a little like yeah moment. Instead of just playing through pentatonic, you can like and kind of get there with some chromatics. It's really going to help your technique. So what I'm going to do right now is going to back up again, play that blues, but now I'm going to put in the pentatonics again, just here. You kind of saw me, by the way, just a second ago do a full chromatic run. And if you want to get away with it and you think it sounds good, do it. The whole premise of this video, like I said, is to show you, to give you the confidence to go for these chromatic notes, as long as they're framed out within your pentatonic. So here it is again. I'm probably cut it short because we have more to do, but here's another blues with a lot of chromatic runs put into it. Here we go. As you can see, I put a lot of the chromatics in there, and it starts to get a little jazzy feeling. Now, again, I can't stress enough to you, the only thing I'm feeling is a little bit of like tension, or I know I kind of want to slur my line a little. And instead of trying to hunt it down the pentatonic, I can put in my chromatic runs, again, because I know it starts on the pentatonic and it ends on the pentatonic. You saw me do one thing in here. I took that form 1 pentatonic, and I came up to my form 2 right here in A minor, which would be, you can start pretty much on that 9th fret of the G. And this is a great palette. Again, you're framing out pentatonic notes, but you're putting chromatics in there. The more chromatics you use, it's going to start to sound a little more jazzy, but you could practice like calling upon it from here when you want to do it. That's what this whole lesson is about. A, to not be afraid of chromatics, and B, learn that when you need them or when you want them, what it feels like and how to do it. You want to frame chromatics out inside of scale skeletons, because you know that when you start something on a scale note and end something on a scale note, if you go right through it, people are going to perk up for a second and be like, and then when it gets to the resolve of the scale note, they're going to be like, oh, that was cool. All right, so I'll do it one more time, and all I want you to do is start incorporating some chromatics into your playing by feel, not by theory, not really by, opening a book and studying like what kind of jazz move you have to do chromatics on. That's not what this is about. And really, it's not what chromatics are about. Chromatics are about creating movement. And so I'll do it one more time. I'm going to try and be reserved. I'm going to try and throw some things at you. Play around with the chromatics. I suggest you find an A major, an A blues backing track. I apologize. A blues backing track. Throw your A minor pentatonic on it, and then start putting the chromatics in, and see how you do with the impulses. It's all about your impulse of when to do it. And the more you practice that, the better you're going to get at throwing chromatic lines in. Here we go. There you go. Again, much more jazzier than we expected. And my loop's still going. Much more jazzier feeling. But at the same time, you can create a little bit of soul and movement and excitement, because I'll repeat it again and again. It's about starting on a note that you know is going to work, ending on a note that you know is going to work, and creating a little bit of movement that catches that person's ear. That's how chromatics work. Pretty much. Chromatics create the movement. So I want you to develop the taste buds for when you want to create your movement. So go practice an A minor blues. The videos linked below are going to be my Myth of the Mixolydian, so you can hear about that chord change when it goes from 1 to the 4. And also my blues soloing mindset video, if you haven't seen it, about how to hit the right notes at the right time, which is kind of what I was doing, and then putting the chromatics in. So I hope this makes sense. Again, chromatics start here, with how to use them based upon your taste, and how to use them in a scale that always works. Rock and roll. See you soon. Bye-bye.